Welcome back to this continuation of scenario 4 from the last Blitzkrieg, focusing on the southern campaign. If you didn't see the first video, this is just the southern half of the German offensive for the first 6 turns. It's basically a one scenario. What you can see here, here's the boundary line between the map. You can see the edge between those two maps there. That's the sort of northern edge. And the Germans are trying to drive far to the west off the map off camera. Okay, so here's a list of activations completed, or the formations that are done. This is what we have left. There's been a few corrections. Thanks very much to Lynn for noting these. These two formations here are what we call used, but they're not done yet. So they are, per the series instructions for the first turn, they're forced to attempt a second activation. So we'll roll for those, and I might prioritise these two to sort of get them out of the way. A few little things. So these guys fired artillery. They needed an objective for that, and that requires a fatigue roll. I did the fatigue roll and they passed. The Americans are also entitled, when they fire their artillery per the title rules, they are allowed to make 2 artillery rolls per hex. I'm sure I read that somewhere in the title specific rules. German special rules, Allied special rules, American artillery, 2 points per target hex instead of 1 in non-attack situations. So they had the artillery, so I basically did some extra die rolls for each of those, and in fact they caused hits on those 2 German units. And also up here, 26 Volksgrenadier units, they moved through Panzer here to get to where they are, which would have caused coordination issues. But I realised they can reach their destination hexes via this alternate route, which doesn't cause coordination. So I've left them where they are, but yeah, they in effect took a different route to get where they are. We're now up to the next activation, and as I said, I'm going to start with the 116th Panzer Division up in the north, and this is their second activation, or their attempt at a second activation. They are fresh, they need 4 or more. The fresh provides a +1 modifier, giving them a requirement of 3 or more, and they fail. So they are done. We'll then try and activate CCR 9th Armoured, who are just up in the top left up here. They require a 5 or more to activate, and they succeed. So this will be their second activation. Let's have a look at what's going on with these guys. Where is indeed their combat train? This is their combat train, I believe, way off to the far left in Hoffelays. It's way off camera up here. So it's what are we looking at? What's their route? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so it's just optimal range. Anything 1 hex outside that would give them a penalty. They are -1 for fatigue. Another thing I've been missing, and I missed it because I didn't notice it within the charts, is the snafu die roll modifier. So the Allies should be suffering a -2 as well. Here it is. Should have noticed this, didn't. -2 to their dice roll. So let's roll for their snafu. It's a 5. -1 for fatigue is 4. They're not mixed. Game specific is -2, so they're down to 2. Luckily, at optimal distance, unfortunately, they're using tracks to get there. We've got to use these trails. So it's back down to 2. It's a fail snafu. They can, however, look at this headquarters up here. They can do what's called a failure flip, a recovery failure flip activation. We remove coordination markers, flip ghost trains, remove drop support markers, reduce fatigue by 1 level. That's why I'm doing this. So that goes down to 0 fatigue. We're basically resting for this activation. We deploy isolation effects. I can't see any CCR 9th Armoured Division forces outside that range. So there's no isolation, and they're done. So these are 2 pretty quick activations. Okay, let's move to the next German one. And let's kind of, we start here. Let's shift down the line. Let's go 5th Fallschirmjäger. Here they are. Where's their headquarters? It's under here with the Pioneers. So they are about to activate. The Pioneers are in that hex. Now, a few people have suggested stacking these together. I think that's a good idea once I'm familiar with it. But the biggest mistake I've been making, the biggest rules error I've been missing, is forgetting about these supports attached to units. At least in Baptism by Fire, I was doing that. So for now, I'll leave them spread out. But I have bought or made some custom headquarters cards. You can download these from the Consim World threads or from the MMP Gamers website for this title. And they're little cards that have the headquarters symbol, and you place all their support markers on it. So I'll be able to place that headquarters card sort of just off to the right here. I've noticed a few people putting on the videos, putting the cards along the bottom of their board. So that's another option as well. Okay, so 5th Fallschirmjäger, they are drawing supply just to there. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's actually optimal, but there are crossing of streams here. Let's roll and see what they go. They're at fatigue 0. It's a roll of 7, which isn't going to be good, I don't think. 7, but with a snafu modifier of +1, so 7 +1 is 8. Optimal distance 9. Crossing the streams back to 8, and they're using secondary roads the whole way, so that's a full activation. That's good. What are these guys going to do? Well, there's 2 American units right in front of them. There's one here in the woods. There's one here in this rolling / clear terrain. So they're going to set 2 objectives and drive on both of them. So there's my objective placement done. Now I can do my activities. And I think I'll try to get a strong assisted attack going on these guys first. So 1, 2, 3. Oh. Flying out of tweezers. 4. And then these guys will go 1, 2, 3 along that road. Now, having moved and with their support, they'll make a regular attack on that hex. The defender declares their prepared defenses 110-28. Headquarters should be down here. No, it's 109-28. 110-28 is all the way up here. They're a long way from their HQ. Yeah, they still have prepared defense, I believe. Hey, good morning, Lynn. I was just talking about your feedback on the first video. Really appreciate it. So we're launching our first attack of the night, a regular attack here, 5th Fallschirmjäger, crossing over, getting some assistance, a prepared defense. We do have red support for this formation, and we have the attacker with an assist unit that they're stacked with. We are going to declare a destruction barrage here. So we have got 3 artillery points. And this is just a 2-step unit. That's why I'm focusing on destruction. If I can get 2 hits, keeping in mind they are in a terrain hex, so I'll need a 4 to 6 to hit them. I've got 3 dice. Let's see how we go. Okay. So yeah, following the attack sequence, declaring and executing my barrage, needing 2 5s to 6 here. There's 0 and 1 more dice, a 0. So no hits. Germans are not having much luck. And that's all the artillery I have attached to that headquarters, unfortunately. No others. And of course, the support is dropped. You notice also I've placed some support drop markers just as a little reminder to myself that the support isn't making it across the river. In fact, I believe that's what you're meant to do. It's just little area reminders. Yep, g'day. It's really late here. It's about 10:15 at night. So, regular attack. Here we go. That's our bombardment failed. Now, as I said, the way I do this is I roll the die, add the attacker modifiers, and then subtract the defender modifiers. So my roll is an 8. Oh, geez, these guys are terrible. +2 is 10. Notice their action rating in the middle there, the little 2. That brings them up to 10. No support. 10, 11. No suppression. 10, 11 for the assistance. That's about it. -4 for the defender brings it down to 7 immediately. Prepared defense is 6. Dual as an infantry in a terrain hex is 5. And support is 4. There's going to be 2 attacker losses. That's a bad start for the 5th Fallschirmjäger. No retreat, no traffic. Okay. What next? Well, let's try and bring these guys down. 1, 2, 3. Then these guys are slightly better in the attack, so let's bring them across to there. And we'll get our second attack going on this other objective. Out of artillery, unfortunately. I was really hoping to clear this road out. Failed that. So again, we have our prepared defense. We have our defender with AR support. The 2nd, 5th Fallschirmjäger Battalion crossed into slope terrain +1. Slope terrain. Slope terrain. Oh, that little brown. It's not. Okay, so it's a modifier. So the dark terrain here gives a +1. Prohibited for tack and truck, but +1. So could these guys, where'd they come from? 1, 2, 3, 4. They could have made it, yeah. All right. For some reason, I misinterpreted that as a forest. This is forest, the dark green. That's slope, which is a +1 modifier. So it's 2 for the forest, 1 for the woods, +1 for the slope. Okay, so another regular attack here. No barrage, so I don't like the chances already, but let's see how we go. A roll of 6 isn't going to be good either. So, ouch. 6, no suppression, 7 for the assistance, 8, 9, 10. -4 is 6. 5 for the support. 4 for the, well, it's not in terrain hex actually. It's, I've lost count. 10, 6, 5, 4 for the prepared defense. That's it. An attacker 2 loss. That's the worst you can get, basically, on an attack. So these German attacks are just... This was a gamble, certainly. Maybe I should be using suppression instead. And let's get these guys over the river in their boats. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is rolling terrain, which is just 1 foot. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4. Trucks can move up to there. Headquarters. We'll move up to here as well. And this is their list of administrative markers. That's their combat train under there. They're all done. We now roll, we clean up, get rid of these objectives. Roll for fatigue, ready to regular attack. So on a 1 to 3, they're fatigued. Brings up to fatigue level 1. And isolation, everything's okay. Second activation, they need a 5 or more. Fail. So they are done. No PD at greater than CR. No prepared defense at greater than the command range. I wasn't sure about that. That's why I paused just a moment ago to grab the rule book. Okay, so you can't use that prepared defense modifier if a unit is outside the command range. Good to know. Thanks, Len. I was querying that. And I went to grab the rule book, forgot to check it. Okay, so they're done. Now the Americans are all complete. So it's just German activations now. All right, let's bring in the 352nd Volksgrenadier down here. They're going to try and clear this road. And where is their artillery? There it is, three arty. Again, they'll be crossing the river, so their support can't make it. Let's see what their snafu is. So first of all, I'll turn the headquarters over. A relatively low command range of just 6, so I didn't be careful of that. And it's not going to be good. It's 5 for their snafu roll. Where are their trains? Their trains are up here. No, they're not. They're up here. They have cross streams as well. So 5, 6 for game specific, 7 for optimal distance, back down to 6 for crossing the stream. So narrow miss. That's only a partial activation. And oh geez, yeah, okay. We've got to clear this unit out of the way here. A lot of 2s and 3s down here, so not great troop quality. And need to be mindful of where this headquarters is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's about as far as I can get before I get out of range. So 1, 2, 3 and a half. Of course, I could move the headquarters up further, but I'll leave them there. 1, 2, 3. I'm taking the bridge with me, aren't I? 4. The bridge needs to remain behind as a reminder. 1, 2, 3, 4, crossing that bridge, and now we'll get our first combat. I think they were there like that, weren't they? Okay, so attacking and this unit's assisting, basically. Hey, Captain Spinny from Lagos, cool. I've had a friend play games in Lagos, and they'll talk about the humidity really affecting their games. Does that affect you? So, regular attack here, and I'm using 1 artillery point to support this with suppression. So we have got a unit of the 109th 28, the headquarters is just here, they have a prepared defense. We have no support with this formation. So that's going to be in the German favour. And we have attacking and assisting units. So they won't be able to advance after combat because they're not stacked with the attacking unit. We have an attacking die roll of, God, 4. This is crippling the German attack. These poor rolls. 4 plus 2 is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for the assist. Yep. 10 minus 4 is 6. 5 for the prepared defense. 4 because they're in a terrain hex. Crikey. And that's another 2 hits to the Germans. That was a good chance to cause some damage. And they failed. All right, let's bring up the rest of the 352nd. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. I wonder if they can cross the Scen river as well with boats. So they could go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, like that. They can cross both of these rivers. I was just checking that. That's the Scen river. This is the river. And both are rubber boat crossable on this first turn. Okay, that's the end. Well, okay, there's some more units at the back here. Pioneers. 1, 1.5, 2.5, 3, 4, I guess. Now, there are bridge blowing rules in this title. I haven't blown a bridge yet, but basically, the first time a German unit enters a hex which contains the bridge's hex side, they roll a dice. I can use grief markers as the Germans. I have 2 of these for this scenario. They're not quite there yet. That's the end of that formation. I'll bring the headquarters up as well. We'll leave them there for now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, I'll leave them there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Keep everyone in range. So there's no bridge here. There's this this bridge will open at the start of the next day. Right, fatigue. They launched a normal attack, so 1 to 3, and of course, German luck, they suffer some fatigue. Now they get a chance at a second activation, 5 or more. Hey, they get a second activation. Wow. Let's see what their snafu is for this second. Let's do clean up first. This second activation. Let's check their combat train again. 352nd drawing up here. Again, cross streams, optimal distance, a roll of 5. That's exactly the same as last time, right? But now they've got worse fatigue, so it's going to be another partial activation. And geez, I think I've got to have a go at Bettendorf. The best AR I can manage here is 3. So what I'll do is get those guys. So tactical hint from Lynn. Many stacked combat trains lead to, yeah, so I should be moving these, shouldn't I? That's what you're saying. I will move this train out to here. 1, 2, 3, 4. How about that? Now they're not crossing streams anymore. That's what I should be doing. Not using the initial starting CT placement. Okay, that would make sense. Just clear the supply. It gives them a ghost train, but long term clears both formations. I should have moved the 5th Fallschirmjäger really to a better position, but anyway. Attack here, artillery being spent. Let's see how we go. 6 in attack and the unit below in support. Rolling the dice, they're still in prepared defense. That's better. A German roll of 10. Plus 2, is that what I did? I said that, didn't I? That was silly. Let me do this one because they've an action rating of 3. I didn't realize there were only 2. So they'll attack, they'll support. Attack, support, doesn't matter who supports. Apart from the fact that they're stopped thereafter. but I want these guys with their bigger action rating. So 10 plus 3 is 13. 14, 15 for my suppression. 16 for my assistance. That's it. So 16 minus defender rating of 4 is 12. 11 for their prepared defense. 10 because they're in a terrain hex. Gives me a final result of a provisional 1. So that means they do take a hit because the defenders are in a prepared defense. So they're down to 5. And a situational retreat, which means they will take a step loss. And a traffic marker is placed if they retreated, but they didn't. So look, the rest of these Germans can move, but yeah, not many places to move to. We'll get these guys up here, and what I'll do is I'll launch, I've got 3 artillery points, I'll launch 1 more on that unit there. They're not in a terrain hex, so they'll hit on a 3 or more. That'll hit, it causes a step loss for the Americans there. Every little bit helps. And I may as well throw something down here. The hard target, it's only going to hit on a 6, but I've got this extra artillery point left over. Range is 1. I could move these guys down. I'll have a go at the hard target, a 1, so I missed it anyway. That's the end of their activation. So I roll for fatigue. They did a regular attack, so 1 to 3. They are okay. Isolation's fine. That's their second activation done. So we sort of clean up as well. And they're done. All right, looking at the next formation, we've got the 276th Volks Grenadier down here. We'll make a snafu roll for them, see how well they activate. Snake Eyes. I'm just shaking my head at German luck at this stage. Oh, okay, so let's work through it. 2, game specific is 3. Fatigue is 0, okay. There's no mixed formation around here, so they're okay. 276 is in this tight little area here. They are okay, so their path comes up this way and then down to their train here. So it's good, it's optimal distance. I don't know if crossing the streams counts for the hex, but that'll at least bring it down to 3 if it does, 4 if it doesn't. So they have a partial activation and 1 objective marker. And this is the headquarters here. It's being protected by these guys. They look tough, but they're not that tough. 3 action rating. My problem is all these guys have 2 action rating. I could take on the engineers down here in Burdorf. Yeah. Look, I've still got the 212th coming up next, and they've got better action rating, so I might try and target this hex here. And we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. What's their command range is 6, so they've got to be careful here. And then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll get our pretty much only attack on this formation using our A point of artillery out of the 3 we have. They have a prepared defense. They have limited support, which will help them in defense. It's Snake Eyes again. That was Snake Eyes. A roll of 2. I don't know if anyone's tracking these die rolls, but I think the Germans are lodging an official complaint to MMP and DMSE. All right, this is going to go bad. 2 plus 2 is 4, 5, 6, 7, minus 4. It's already less than 4. I can guarantee it is going to be 2 losses. And we will follow up a half, 2.5. Three, 2.5. And we'll fire some artillery at these guys. They are in a terrain hex, so that'll hit on a 4 or more. That's a hit on the engineers, and you have 3 steps, so 2 left. And 1, 2, 3. They'll stay there. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll move those guys together. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I should have flipped them over, shouldn't I? With their headquarters up there, getting ready to cross one of these southern bridges. So let's bring their train up as well to there. So they're now drawing this supply line directly along there. Oh, sorry, that's sort of not new to the camera. Morning, hex to hex. Almost at the end of this first turn. We've got the 5/60th to go, and then the 2/12th way down the bottom right here. Hope you can all see that. I might shift this up a little bit. All right, we're looking at this activity down here now. All right, 560, where is 560? 560 is way up the top. I'll come back to them later. We'll do the 2/12th while we're here. They, where's their headquarters? 2/12 is here. They're activating. They draw supplies along this road to here. So there's no mixed stream here. They're going to get a really good snafu, aren't they? Yeah, 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. Optimal distance is 9. That is good enough for a bad roll. Should clean up those guys. All right, so the 2/12th is this blob down here. Now they've got Ectonac right in their way. Geez, I don't know how you attack across the river. Yeah, it's a hexside terrain, dice roll modifier. If the attacker is attacking across it. And they have support. What if we bring these guys down and around? 1, 2, 1, 2, and we launch our attack with these units here. So this is my actually I could get a few attacks off here. If I place these right there, gives me a good zone of 3, potentially 3 areas to attack. So let's try that. Yeah, we'll launch our attack here and see what happens. With this unit and the unit below it in support, it is a prepared defense. They do have a lot of support, and they do have a lot of artillery as well. We also have 3 artillery points, so we can one of those as a suppression mission. A roll of 9, that was a 9. Plus 3 is 12. 12, double objective zone, 12, 13. 14, 15, 16 for my support. Yep, 16. So minus 4 for the defender is 12. Their support is 11. Prepared defense is 10. 10. Infantry in the terrain is 9. So a roll of 9 is an attacker 1. So they are down 1 step. And a defender, situational retreat. So they will suffer 1 step loss. They start with only 4. So they're now down to 3. So that's on a roll of 9. So I really need an 11 or more to get anything done against that head. All right, all these other units can move as well. I might bring these guys 1, 2, 3, 4, and geez, I don't know if it's worth it. Maybe I will just throw some artillery at them. They are in the open, so that'll hit them on a 4 or more because of their prepared defense. That's a hit. They are down to 3 as well. And then we've got these guys crossing the river here. So 1, 2, 3, a half, 2.5, 3.5, and we'll have another attack on this hex here. So again, needing a pretty good roll because of this prepared defense, everything that's going on, their support. All right, let's go. A 10. Okay, fingers crossed here. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 for my suppression, 17 for the assistance. So I have 17 minus the defense of 4 is 13, support 12, prepared defense 11. They're not in a terrain. Oh, they're in a little dot. That little dot though is not a terrain hex. So I think we're on 11. Yeah, which gives us a D1 and a retreat. Now their headquarters is down here. Okay, so when you suffer a retreat, they have to flip to their move side and run back to their refuge, basically, which is down here. It has to be, yeah. So, yeah, this is an automatic retreat, leg movement, retreat to within one hex of its headquarters and flip to its movement side. The unit must be able to retreat at least 3 hexes, which is why I put it over here. So it's gone 1, 2, 3, barely enough to be able to retreat. And those Germans can now advance into Lauterborn. And we've still got some more 212 left. They can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Follow up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, within command range. Just. Oh, and these guys all over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Armor's up there. This is the bicycle infantry, I think. 212 Fusilier Bicycle Infantry Battalion. Hey Adam, welcome from Canada. Okay, so that's their first activation. So we roll for fatigue. 1 to 3, they suffer fatigue. They do suffer fatigue. It puts them up to 1. And they roll for a second activation, and they need a 4 or more. They succeed. It's a 5. So luckily, these guys are doing pretty well. They'll get a second activation. Let's see what their snafu roll is. We'll clean up the map first. Snafu roll is a 9. They'll definitely pass that. So again, we get a double objective. And I'm looking right here, down at this... Okay, there's 2 options here. All right, so I can, everything's happening down here. I can place a double objective here, clear the headquarters out, put these guys basically out of command radius, and worry about this later. Or I can split and try and do an attack here and attack here. By placing a double objective here, I'd be giving myself a +1 modifier in combat, which, as I think I've demonstrated, is pretty critical. Every little bit counts. if I get lucky on this die roll and I force this headquarters to retreat, this is the 4th Infantry Division. They have to come towards their combat train here. It really puts this 4th Infantry, these 2 battalions, out of supply, in effect. It's basically out of command range. So do I do that, or do I try and split my objectives and try and do a bit of both? These guys in Ectonac have 3 steps. They have 3 steps. I can't do both because, yeah. I'm thinking, is it worth a +1 modifier? Is it really worth driving for that objective? Knowing the Germans, they'll probably roll terribly anyway. I think I'm going to split it. That at least gives me 2 bites of the cherry to cause some losses amongst these Americans. Okay. Yeah. All right. So these guys can flip to their move side, their deployed side. And they want to get across the river while they can. So we're going to have an attack here and then an attack down here. And these guys will hang about there in the forest. All right, so let's move down here and get our, you move units one at a time, but they're both stacked together, moving 1 hex. Let's get our first attack off. Okay. So regular attack, basically they're in a prepared defense, they have support. I'm spending 1 of my artillery points again, so my artillery replenishes. I have 3, where is my artillery? Where's it gone? Up here, 3 once again. Oh, first of all, I've got to move my headquarters down to be within command range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. So they're in command range now. You can't move or attack outside your command range. Command range is 6, so now they're okay. Okay. And, yeah, here we go. Oh, it's a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 for suppression, 13 for assistance. I might cause a hit, but I'm not going to get them to retreat. 13 minus defenders 3. 10, 9 for prepared defense, 8 for the terrain. So that's not great. It's an attacker 1 step loss. So they're down to 5. And then a defender situational hit. So because they're in a prepared defense, they won't retreat. They'll suffer a step loss to hold their ground instead. It's a really good system. How if you're in this prepared defense, units are really determined and prepared to fight, basically. They didn't retreat, so there's no traffic marker there. Okay, so an attack going on here. Same units again. These guys in support. These guys attacking. Using artillery for suppression. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Minus 4 is 8. 8, 7, 6. 5 is an A1 result. Not great for the attackers. 1 step loss for these guys. And that's about it. I can't launch any artillery because this is outside the objective zone. That's outside the objective line of sight, basically. 1 hex line of sight on this turn. So we clean up. They roll for fatigue. Fatigue on a 1 to 3. Of course, they suffer more fatigue. They're up to 2 fatigue now on this first turn. And we have 1 formation left, the 560th, and they are way up top. So these guys up here. How long did it take? Look, to be honest, I started playing with Baptism by Fire, and the scenario 5.2 was really, really quick. Baptism by Fire is a great place to start. It's this offers several advantages for learning the game over this. Low counter density. The first scenario, you're dealing with a couple of formations. The Germans basically come on the board, with 2 formations in one area. So you've only got 2 little formations to worry about. There's a lot of open road, so you're focusing upon movement rules, support rules. It really gradually introduces you to the rules. I'm still making mistakes. So, yeah. The system, what I like about Baptism by Fire is you gradually learn things as you go. You kind of read the rule book and you say, okay, how does this all make sense? Then you set up the first scenario. Scenario 5.2 really is the introductory scenario. 5.1 is the full campaign. So you set up 5.2, it's a 1 map scenario. You've only got a couple of units. And so you're like, okay, well, here's this formation, they're active, here's the enemy, here's my objective. I guess I'll move towards there. And as you move, you've got sort of a reconnaissance unit down south, so you know what they do. Yeah, everything just kind of flows really nicely. Did I roll for 116th Panzer? Yes, I did. Thanks, Lynn. I mentioned at the start of the video, and CCR as well. They both failed. Actually, no, CCR passed their second activation, but then I think they failed their snafu roll. I think that's what happened with them, whereas 116th failed outright. So yeah, Baptism by Fire, it's a really nice introduction. It's a great game, a great story. I did a review on it where I spoke about how it was really good for learning the game. But I really bought Baptism by Fire at the same time I bought this last Blitzkrieg. And I really wanted to learn the last Blitzkrieg, but I thought I'd start with Baptism by Fire as the lighter. It is lighter and easy to play. So sort of cutting my teeth on that, I feel really confident. I'm, like I said, still making mistakes, but feel like I got the sort of fundamentals of the game. Yeah, I'll try to point out rules errors as I go. But yeah, I'm probably going on about it. But yeah, Baptism of Fire, really good for learning the game. Just a really nice setup and system. The Kasserine Pass. I'm probably repeating what I said in the review, but basically, you don't have to worry too much about broad strategic ideas. It's quite focused in its action. And yeah, low counter density. So it doesn't quite look, this, I don't know what this looks to you. It doesn't look quite as busy as this. There are other issues to worry about. A lot of mixed formations, a lot of crossing of streams, a lot of tracks to have to worry about. So you've got other supply issues basically. And your supply lines are very tenuous. Almost constantly worried about those supply lines for certain turns. Okay, so we're looking at the top here at the 560th. They're going to make their snafu roll. Their headquarters is here. It is fresh, and they are drawing supply. Oh, way over here to under my weather track. Just bumping there. Their combat train's just disappearing. There it is. All right, let's see how they go. It's a 6, 7, 8, 9. They should be fine. They have a full activation and shift. All right, they got a few Americans in the way. I think I'd like to get across the river first, use those boats, clear this road. Yeah, this is the problem. I've got 2 objective markers. Often when I play Bulge games, I like to cross here and then drive north towards Scen, which is up in the north here. So maybe if I clear this road and clear this hex out here. All right, so these are my 2 objectives. I can't pick this, this, and this, unfortunately. They're 3 hexes apart, so they're just outside of each other's objective zones, basically. So this unit, this hex here cannot be attacked. It's outside the 2 hex radius. And likewise, if I put it there, I couldn't attack that hex. So only 2 of these American units can be attacked. Yeah, let's do that. Setting these objectives will get my infantry across the river, some of it at least, and get me rolling. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The problem, though, is that one of these attacks will be unsupported. So maybe if I focus, where's the edge of the map? It's here. Yeah, I've got to come this way, don't I? Yeah, one of these attacks will be unsupported. That's just going to happen. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I should do my attacks first before I move with these guys, but they're in place ready to attack, basically. Right, an attack here. Attacking, assisting. Spending my artillery. I have a lot of artillery in the area. That's one thing I can do, move adjacent to them to attack with that artillery. So this attack here, wanting a good roll. A 3 is not a good roll. 3 plus 3 is 6. 7, 8 for suppression, 9 for assistance. That's it. Minus 4 is 5. They have their prepared defense. They have support. That's going to be 2 attacker losses. More German frustrations. Here we go. No, it's further north, isn't it? Here it is. All right, so let's try this. This seems really futile. Without assistance, but spending artillery for suppression. I roll a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 for suppression. Minus 4 is 8, 7, 6. And a roll of 6 is an attacker 1 loss. All right, so that's it for my 2 objectives. But I can move these guys up. With those guys. I will send some artillery into that hex. It is a well, they're in prepared defense. It's a terrain hex, so I go terrain 4 or more. That's a hit. Okay. In terms of baptism by fire, 0 replayability, I guess replayability in the sense that often when I finish a game, I want to set it up and play it again. And I felt like it just sparked that. It's a kind of game where I feel like maybe in a year or 2 I'll come back to it, but not replayable in the sense that, you know, like I play Ardennes 44 and I want to play it again and again. I set up RAF and I play it over and over again. Often when I set up a game, you want to try things, and you can already get a sense that this provides those opportunities to try new things. And I just didn't get that sense from Baptism by Fire, mainly because of the setting. Oh no, objective for the long attack. That's right. Bombardments still need to be an objective. Mainly because Kasserine Pass, just the nature of the operation. Germans driving down, one main pass, sort of other activity going on, but it's this sort of one main road which splits in 2. You make important decisions about where to send your formations, and then you're making these little tactical decisions like what I'm doing here. That's always present in Baptism by Fire. But what I love most about games is studying these road networks and considering what you can do. Yeah, you've got these, like I said, it's mainly focused on a lot of supply issues to consider, a lot of track networks. I'm just looking at 560, their supplies. They draw this very weird, I should have moved 2nd Panzer up, that's done. I'm trying to avoid, if I can move them there, they can draw along these tracks and avoid 116th Panzer. So it'll enable the 116th to get a better activation on their turn. Let's roll for fatigue. Yep, of course they suffer fatigue. They are no longer fresh. And what about a second activation, 4 or more? Yes, they get a second activation. All right, what kind of activation do they do? Let's roll for snafu. A 12, full activation. Okay. We're going to focus on the same two. I should clean that up, but we'll focus on the same. The same two objectives, I think. Or do we try and clear this road out and try and push towards their headquarters? That might be better. Left and right. Try that. Just there's two things I'm worried about. I could move this infantry up to assist in this attack, make it a bit stronger, but that then opens up. Am I really worried about the Americans counterattacking? No. So let's do that. These guys will move up. That's a 6-step infantry, and they'll launch an attack with the pioneers below them in support. That's a roll of 8, sorry. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 with assistance and suppression. So 14 minus 4, so down to 10, 9, 8, 8, which gives them an attack of 1 situational. So both units suffer a step loss. They're down to 5. And they're down to 5. Incidentally, the way I'm tracking losses with these markers is standard way, but there are also loss sheets, which I did print off and plan to use when playing through the full campaign. I'm sure many of you are familiar with these types of sheets. You basically, they look like this, and you can track losses that way. Yeah. And if you play this on Vassal, it's automated, so the little numbers reduce as you take step losses. It's really cool. So I don't have to worry about all those counters at all. So that attack caused a hit. We both lost a step. The second attack taking place here, these guys are attacking, they're assisting, prepared defense, they've got support, I don't, using my artillery again, a 12. Nice roll for the Germans. This week we 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 with assistance and suppression, 18 minus 4, 14, 13 for support, 13, 12 for prepared defense, 11 for being in a terrain hex. And a roll of 11 is a D1, so they suffer a hit. It's only a 2-step unit too. Didn't realise they were so low. Suffer a hit, and they automatically retreat on their move side back to their headquarters, 110, 28. Ah, they're not part of the 112th, they're part of the 110th, 28, which is down in Clervaux, right? Yeah, down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they're still in the prepared defense range, but they can now advance. Attacker only. The assistance wasn't in their hex, so they can't also advance. Okay, opens up a bit of a gap in that area. Maybe we bring our headquarters down here and we bring this infantry to there. Now our combat trains, which I did move here. What if I move them there? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just trying to think of where's a good place for these trains. They'd need to use a track if I put them there. Yeah, I think that's probably maybe exactly where they were. I think they're around there, right? Tracing supplies along here, along the trail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's optimal distance. Yeah, okay. Now rolling for fatigue. It's a 2, so they suffer yet more. Up to 1. And they are done. So not a lot of German success on this first turn. Quite a lot of bad combat rolls. Yeah. So we'll do cleanup. Should have done it before. Isolation, everything's okay. Just looking over the situation. Of course, we've got the 116th up in the north who failed to activate. We've got the 560th as a blob around here. 2nd Panzer is kind of spread out. The infantry can cross. This bridge will open next turn, and the armour attack movement forces will be able to get across, and trucks and so forth. Headquarters. Below them, 26th Volks Grenadier. Pretty small formation around here. Then we've got Panzerlehr, who couldn't activate this turn. 5th Fallschirmjäger driving along here. We've got 352nd in this area, just south of them. 276th in this area, and then 212th. So you can kind of see how you keep these formations together as blobs. You don't want to mix them together because you then suffer snafu die roll modifiers. You want to keep your combat trains and headquarters along clear supply routes. That's going to become increasingly difficult as you push forward. Lynn pointed out as a comment in the last video that I did, that I was kind of deliberating on what roads to drive through here. I was thinking, do I just bypass Clairvaux? And he said, well, yeah, you can do that, but then you're using tracks as a supply route, which is a -1 modifier to your snafu roll, and will increase the distance and all these other sort of considerations. So you've really got to focus long term on clearing those main roads out to enable your suppliers to sort of drive through. Your attack movement is very slow along these tracks. Yeah, so look, that's the end of the turn pretty much. We have done all activations. At the end of the turn, we flip all headquarters back to their unused side and advance the turn marker. I'll wrap this up here because that's a bit of administration, and I'll roll for weather for the next turn. And yeah, I'll probably continue this tomorrow. Thanks again to Lynn and everyone for their feedback and support and helpful sort of tips and guidance and rules corrections. One thing I will point out, this is an amazingly well supported system. So if you're learning BCS, Lynn, Gary, Dean, Carl, they're all extremely active. It is one of the most active sort of communities on Consim World and Board Game Geek. And Facebook, there's the Battalion Combat Series Facebook group. Carl in particular is very active on there, so they're really good for responding to any queries you've got. As I pointed out, I think in the last video, the rulebook version 2 is, well, I haven't read version 1 to be honest, but version 2 is really nice. And very easy to find any questions you have. Whenever I have a question, I make mistakes, I forget things. I tend to do it a fair bit, but whenever I do want to query something, I mean, this is the index and it's just brilliant. There are some really good guides, summaries of various actions. It is a really pleasant learning experience, if that's one way to say it. there's some abstractions, there's some unusual ideas. The idea that you're not counting, it's a combat differential combat system rather than a combat odds system. And it takes a little bit of time to wrap your head around these modifiers. This is what I'm looking at. So when I'm counting, I'm thinking, okay, you roll the dice, it's a 10, you add the action rating of the way I do it, add the action rating of the attacker, add regular attack suppression, that's the artillery, and assistance for a regular attack. Then I subtract the defender's support, usually for the Americans, their prepared defense, and usually they have infantry in a terrain hex for a +1. Yeah, so this is wrapping your head around why different things are valuable is a great part of that learning experience. There hasn't been much engagement yet, so there's this engagement table here. This was very common in baptism by fire, particularly early on. You know, the Germans rushed on with their Kampfgruppen, their armoured AV units basically, and you're doing a lot of engagements against American AV. The engagement table is also used to drop enemy support. So all these Americans have, these guys here, for example, have red support. Next turn, what's going to happen is the second Panzer is going to come rolling up this road here. The support will no longer be dropped because these bridge will open straight away. I can remove these in effect now. I should do it at the start of the turn, but I'll do this now. The bridge will open. They'll come rolling in. They will attempt to drop this support. And basically what that means is this American unit here, if they're successful, they have their support temporarily dropped. Their support has disengaged due to the strength of these 1st, 3rd armoured units battalion rolling through. It leaves the infantry then a bit isolated and more vulnerable to an attack or an attack by fire. This is where basically the armoured battalion is pouring sort of high explosive into the area around Marnik here. And yeah, so there are various elements that sort of come together. And I feel I've got a good grasp of it, but still kind of, need to think about it. There are also mandatory stopping engagements. So you must stop when you enter an enemy zone of control. Attack movements don't have to stop if it's an infantry zone of control, but if they have support, then they are considered to have AV zone of control. What I like about this already, this is, like I said, the first turn of my first camp scenario of last Blitzkrieg, but it also starts off quite nicely. So if you were to learn using this scenario, what we've seen basically is a lot of regular attacks, and that's basically, there's two ways you could do it. You could work out the net dice roll modifier by going through that list and then roll 2 dice and apply the modifier and then check the result. Or the way I do it, just roll the dice and then add the modifiers for the attacker, subtract the modifiers for the defender. So all this first turn has just been mainly regular infantry attack plus artillery barrage. There's been no reconnaissance. There's been no shock attack. This will be AV attacks coming up later. There's been no attack by fire yet, and there's been no engagements. So this was a nice way to introduce some of the fundamentals of attacking. And as we've sort of seen in some areas, you do that to gain a hex and force the opponent to retreat. So what we've done here in particular is push the Americans back. Up here, we've pushed the Americans out of Heinescheid, and we've opened this path up. That's the purpose of a regular attack, and you need a unit with that little assault-capable arrow here to be able to do that. Yeah, so Lynn's got a point here. So I've got most of the rules down. I'm trying to solve the tactical and operational problems. Supplies, I actually like this part of the system. I like thinking about my supply trains because you're kind of thinking, okay, these guys are attacking Here's their headquarters. Where's this headquarters drawing all this fuel and ammunition from? From this road here. You can't just go charging off. And it's a good way, I think it's a really, really effective way to simulate out of supply effects. But this is very evident in Baptism by Fire, where the Germans, the very first thing they do in this introductory scenario is they come on, they charge straight into this American Combat Command headquarters, and they force it to retreat and then retreat and retreat. And all these American infantry units become out of supply, and they suffer attrition as a result. The headquarters also suffers from the loss of its main supply route, and it suffers those modifiers to its snafu activation roll. So look, I've been doing a lot of talking and not playing, so I'll wrap it up here. Thanks everyone again. I will continue this hopefully as soon as possible. Thanks everyone, and take care.